Today I want to talk about how the California Department of Corrections in the 1990s was different than any other era. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Before I get into this video, I know there's going to be some people that are their feathers are going to be ruffled just by the title of the video, but I want to explain how in the 90s doing time in the California Department of Corrections was different than any other time, any other era. Does it mean that dudes were tougher? No. Did they experience different things? Absolutely. Now, one of the first things that I want to point out to people on why it was so different in the 90s compared to anyone else, any other era, is in the 1990s, 10 prisons were opened up. And if we want to get technical, we could say 11. Now I'm going to tell you why. December 1989, Pelican Bay opened up. 1991, Wasco opened up. 1992, Calipatria opened up. 1993, Lancaster, Centinela, and Delano opened up. 1994, Ironwood and Pleasant Valley opened up. 1995, High Desert opened up. 1996, Salinas Valley State Prison opened up. 1997, SADF opened up. Almost every year, from 1991 to 1997, almost every year, the state opened up a new prison. The state understood how much money there was in housing dudes. And so laws were passed that made sure people stayed in prison. I'll give you an example. I got picked up for a homicide. Homicide carries a life sentence. But what lawmakers did in California is they added on gang enhancements. My gang enhancement made sure that I had to serve minimum 17 and a half years before I could even see the board. If it wasn't for that gang enhancement, I could have saw the board in 7 years. So they started giving out gang enhancements to everybody. They started trying to make sure that everybody was going to be in prison for the longest amount of time possible. Back in the 1990s, there was no such thing as rehabilitation. Dudes would be on A2B status, meaning no job, 3-4 years at a time. You go on out to the yard, take your weapon with you, kick back and see what's happening. Something's jumping off, you get off. You were never going home. Everybody knew that. If you caught a life sentence in the 1990s, you knew, without a doubt, you're dying. Incarcerated. You're going to die in the cell, maybe on the yard, maybe in the chow hall. Maybe you die at the hands of a rival. Maybe you die at the hands of one of your own. Maybe you die at the hands of a cop, but you die. There was no doubt. Now, when I bring up all these prisons that opened up, for those of you that don't know, those of you that are not from California, those of you that have never been to prison, every time a new joint opens up, there's going to be a war for real estate. It was very, very rare. If I remember correctly, the only prison out of all of those that I remember, something not jumping off, where there wasn't a war over real estate, if I remember correctly, was Salinas Valley State Prison. I take that back. I believe High Desert was the same. Every other time, there's a war for real estate. When you got guys hitting those level 4 yards, these guys coming out of the shoe, these guys tipped up for whatever faction they're from, whatever faction they're under, these dudes ain't going to sit there and just let somebody else tell them, hey, that's you over there, this is me, I want all this, I want all that, we're taking this, we're taking that. You had a bunch of angry men doing a life sentence who were just as bad as you in their minds. You want that table? You know what? I want that table too. My people want that table. Okay, let's do it. So a war will kick off. Lives are lost. Guys that don't have a life sentence pick up a life sentence. Or if they're lucky, 3, 4, 5 years. That was rampant. One of the worst prisons, as far as when it opened up, was Calipatria. Calipatria opened up. They had A, B, C, D yard. A, B, C, and D yard all went to war. D yard was the last one to go to war, but they went. A lot of those guys, when I entered the system in 1994, I had New Folsom, 1994. A lot of the dudes on the yard there had just came out of the shoe from the war in Calipatria. Straight knuckleheads. Back in the 1990s, you didn't have, like nowadays, the CDC had to shut down the shoe and they let everybody out. All the heavyweights, the heavy hitters, the real shot callers, they came out. In the 1990s, they were slammed down, had been slammed down for decades. And so they had people that they trusted, people that they met personally, and they made them their eyes, their ears, their hands, their feet. And they were taking care of things for them. When you had these new joints open up, I can't speak for any other group, but I know for the Southerners, I'll give you an example. A brand new joint can open up. Back then in the 90s, they didn't have the mesa system. It was one dude, the llavero, the guy holding the keys for the car. You open up a brand new yard, there's a guy that's going to get there, and in his mind, he's going to get the spot. Unfortunately, there's 2, 3, 4 guys that also have the same idea. And basically what it was going to amount to was who got their kite first, who got their blessings first. It's you. And even then, let's say one guy gets his letter on Monday. Hey, that's you. Get it together. Another guy gets his on Tuesday. One day apart. Is the guy that got his on Tuesday going to go ahead and respect what's already been established? Or is he going to hold his ground and say, Charlie, I got this? That's prison. That has happened. I remember when the riot happened in Pelican Bay in 2000. This is getting a little off track, but just an example. After the riot happened in 2000, I remember there was like 4 or 5 dudes saying that they had the yard now. It's wartime. Why are you trying to get a hold of the yard? We can't even get out on the yard together. And yet you had dudes vying for position, seeing an opportunity where there actually wasn't one. But back to the 90s. In the 1990s, in 1994, the year I entered the California Department of Corrections, the CDC was designed to house 66,000 inmates. Instead, they had over 120,000 inmates in that same space. Overcrowding was rampant. CDC wanted that money. I've talked about it. Look it up. Look up how much the CDC gets for each individual inmate. Of course they wanted 120,000 inmates. You get overcrowding like that. Oh, what was it? 184% capacity. 184% capacity. You have doctors that they really shouldn't even be doctors anymore. A lot of them have malpractice claims against them out here on the streets. And what do? They go to the CDC. They get paid $1,200 a day minimum. And they only got to see 20 inmates. Imagine that you need medical care. And you're in a system that's overwhelmed, overcrowded, understaffed, and underprepared. I remember, I'm going to tell you guys something. I developed a fear of doctors. True story. I developed a fear of doctors in prison because I saw on several occasions dudes. I'm not a doctor. Gray, sweating. You look at the dude and you say, "This dude's dying. Oh, this Vato's having a heart attack right now." Dudes begging to get out of the building, walk themselves to medical. And medical tells them, "You're all right, go back to your cell." In the morning, they're wheeling a dead body out the cell. There was so much violence in the 1990s. Again, you had the big dogs weren't out. And you had dudes that had egos who thought that because they were given the blessings, they were given responsibilities, that they somehow became God. They were having dudes whacked left and right. Hey, fuck these dudes over here. Let's go to war. Left and right. And then one of the things that had some dudes think twice, or at least be a little slower on the draw, was the conjugal visits. Overnight family visits with their family. Your wife can come. They could bring your kids. For that few hours, you weren't in prison. You were with your lady. You were able to have sex with your woman. You were able to spend family time with your family. 1995, CDC said, fuck that. You guys don't get that. If you have a life sentence in the California Department of Corrections, we're taking that from you. So dudes that may have been a little slow on the draw because maybe their wife was going to be there in 30 days, their kids were going to be there in 30 days, they were a little bit more hesitant. Not soft, but just thought things out a little bit more. Once they took them family visits, the violence that erupted throughout the entire state was very, very much noticeable. Guess what they decided to do after that? Take the weights. Now, why would they take the weights? Nobody did anything when it came to being able to make love to their woman. CDC said, man, they ain't fighting for pussy. We can take everything. So the weights went next. The weights, that was another way to burn off stress. Let out your anger. You get on that weight pile. You get a good workout. Chop it up with the homies you're cool with. They took that. So they took the conjugal visits. They took the weights. You got these prisons popping up left and right. I remember when Salinas Valley was going to open up. I was in New Folsom. And I remember a lot of the knuckleheads were happy about it. I'm signing up, fool. I'm going to open that yard up. I want to be there when it goes down. And I remember other homies, older homies, laughing at them. You tell me, so you're going to go sign up for a shoe term? You might as well just pick up a shoe here. Save you the bus ride. But that was prison in the 90s. You had dudes that couldn't wait to get off under the gun. The 90s was different. Nowadays, you got the big dogs out there. Ain't nothing moving until they say so. Before that, shit. You would have power struggles. Internal warfare was nasty. The pencil whipping and internal politicking, brutal. Now, it's still prison, man. It's still rough. But I promise you this. Let the CDC open up a brand new prison right now. Watch what happens. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.